No Jalen Brunson, so Mikal Bridges tried to pick up the slack, played well with 22 points. But for the Clippers tonight, James Harden had a game-high 27. And Los Angeles controlled the fourth quarter and won tonight over the Knicks 105-95 is the final. So the Knicks 0-2 so far on this 5-game road trip. Back in New York from our Delta MSG studios, Bill Pito along with Wally Zerbiak. So, of course, tonight began talking about the absence of Jalen Brunson, how it impacted the Knicks. Well, they only scored 17 fourth-quarter points, Wally, and 95 points for the Knicks in a game, second fewest they've scored in a game all season.
38.5% from the field, too. Did not get good looks at the basket, really struggled to generate a lot of offense. Defense kept them in the game up until the fourth quarter. They were only down 79-78 going into that fourth quarter. But in the fourth quarter, they just couldn't find good looks at the basket. This Clipper team's getting better defensively. You saw Jeff Van Gundy over there. He was animated. He was into the game. He was trying to get stops as much as possible. And that's one of the worst offensive performances the Knicks have had. This is a team that normally shoots around 50% from the field, only at 38.5% from the field. That's not going to get it done.
And the Knicks in the fourth quarter, Wally, as you mentioned, they came out of the third quarter only down one at 79-78, but the Clippers won the fourth quarter 26-17, and that was that.
Yeah, it was tough for the Knicks to generate good looks. You see how important Jalen Brunson is. Karl-Anthony Towns had 23 points and 10 boards, but for a big guy, it's tough to get buckets. Josh Hart looked good out there. You know, was all over the place, hustle, just extra effort plays. Those two tip-ins by Bojan Bogdanovic were huge to continue to keep that lead up around 5-7 points. Mikal Bridges, great shooting night, 8 for 12. Shot the ball very well. There's that other tip by Bogdanovic. Got to keep him off the boards. Those were extra possessions and extra points that were very important. Josh Hart, again with that nice little lay-in, cuts the lead to 4 at that point. But this one by James Harden, just smooth. Really nice play by Harden to get that bucket. 9-point lead at that point. Both teams didn't shoot it well, although the Clippers shot the 3 a lot better than the Knicks.
Josh Hart, 14 points, a career-high 20 rebounds for Josh Hart. I mentioned Mikal Bridges, and you mentioned Karl-Anthony Towns with 23, but Cat in the fourth quarter scored only 2 points, and the Clippers win it by 10. You know, we talked in the pregame show about James Harden. He's 35, still got it.
Yeah.
Had 50 against the Pistons in their last game, and I mentioned off the top 27 in this one to lead the Clippers. Still does a lot of things that are very difficult to stop for a guy his age.
Organizes the team very well. I thought his defense was a little bit better tonight, too. He was a little bit engaged defensively. He was on OG Anunoby most of the night, and OG shot 4 for 15, and he's been shooting the ball well, coming off 3 straight 20-plus point games. But you just see, James Harden has that ball on a string. His handles are supreme. They're just elite. The way he handles the basketball, the footwork to get those shots up. He really was nailing the threes in the first half. Started to miss some shots in the second half. Ended up 7 for 20, but 5 for 12 from the three-point line. I mean, that's just big time. OG Anunoby was on him most of the night, so he made him take a lot of shots to get his points. He had to take 20 shots to get to 27 points. But the ability to get to that free throw line, that's a big part of his game. This Clipper team with Kawhi Leonard didn't look like Kawhi Leonard, 6 for 18 tonight. Looks like he's still working himself back, although he did play bulk of minutes. He ended up playing 37 minutes, so that's a good sign for the Clippers, the fact that he's being let go with the minutes, not as much restrictions on him with the knee. It's going to be interesting to see where this Clipper team lands in the West, because they have 2 guys that know how to win basketball games and playoff games, and that can go a long way, especially with Ty Lue coaching. He's a great coach in the playoffs.
As for the Knicks, how good have they been this year? This is only their second 3-game losing streak of the entire season. And we talk in the pregame, okay, who's going to have to change their game, maybe score some more, compensate for the loss of Jalen Brunson? Well, Mikal Bridges did his part with the 22 points. Very efficient, 8 of 12 shooting from the floor.
He did. I think he's going to have to do even more. I think there's going to be a point where he's going to have to play some point guard for this team. He's going to have to run the offense, run high pick and roll with Karl-Anthony Towns, because he knows how to probe. He knows how to get off those screens. You can't help off Karl-Anthony Towns much with your big man, so he can get a lot of stuff in the mid-range. He can get those little pull-up jumpers like he did in the fourth quarter a couple times when the game was kind of, not in the balance anymore and it was over. Like these shots. Those shots coming off screens are shots that he can get. He has the ability to handle it. He has good size coming off that pick and roll. So I think Tom Thibodeau is going to use him a lot more to kind of make plays like this. This is going to be a big part of his game. He's got to continue to look aggressive and be aggressive and try to make things happen. And that's a good start. You know, he doesn't get as many looks as I think he would like, but when you get the shots, make them. And he's shooting a high percentage, even though he only had 6 points yesterday against the Lakers, or a couple nights ago against the Lakers. He was 3 for 6, so he shot 50%. So that tells me he needs more looks at the basket. Tonight he got more points, and maybe next game he needs to get up around 15, 20 looks. If he keeps shooting this efficiently, that's going to bode well for the Knicks offense.
So Bridges did his part.
Yep.
Deuce McBride, Wally, big issue. 2 of 13 from the floor. We talked in the pregame. In 19 career starts, averaged almost 16 a game, but he struggled last night against the Lakers, and he really struggled tonight.
Yeah.
They got to have better shooting from Deuce McBride without Jalen Brunson. That goes without saying.
No question. He's got to continue to stay aggressive. I love the way he got 13 shots, continued to shoot the three, took that three at the end of the game to, you know, just to try to get himself into rhythm, although he did miss it. You know, he's out there to shoot himself into a rhythm, and that's what shooters have to do. It's going to come around. He's too good of a shooter. We've seen it. He puts in the work, and he's just going through a tough time right now. And shooter, that happens when you're a three-point shooter. Once he sees a couple go in the rim, you know, he's going to be back, and the Knicks are going to need him to take shots and make big shots.
Mentioned Towns, 23, but again, only 2 with the game on the line in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he tried to take some quick threes. You know, they were tough shots, but, you know, when you're a big man like that, it's harder for you to score against a set defense in the fourth quarter. The double teams are coming. It's tough to post up. You get to play more physical. You know, overall, you know, he had a little bit of a bounce back game. You get to 23 points, that's a good sign. He's such a high percentage efficient shooter that 8 for 21, that's good for James Harden, but for Karl-Anthony Towns, you're thinking to yourself, well, he's normally better than that. Yes, he is. I thought he moved well. I think he takes the ball to the basket with a vengeance, finished with both hands, righty, lefty. Can't get a call when he goes to the basket either, by the way. There's a lot of contact, people slapping at his hands. Like, just because he powers through it, I understand his frustration. There was a foul on that play down low with a guy trying to knock it out of his hands, and just because he powered through that contact and that slap on the arm, he doesn't get the and-one call like a lot of guards do, who throw their heads back and do all that crazy stuff like James Harden to alert the officials. He just plays good, clean basketball, doesn't get the benefit of a lot of calls, but he can't worry about that. He's just got to put his head down, continue to put in the work and do his thing, and hopefully it results in wins.
We were wondering down the stretch, would Josh Hart get that 20th rebound for his career high? Because there's been a handful of times he's matched his career high with 19 rebounds, but he gets the 20 career high to go with his 14 points.
18 defensive rebounds, too. I mean, that is just incredible work. This is a back-to-back, and he played 46 minutes.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And he's coming off that patellofemoral stuff that he's had issues with right after the All-Star break. So he seems like he's over that. He seems like he figured all that stuff out. But I just love the energy he plays with. I mean, he is just firing around there, playing strong on both ends of the floor, matching up with Kawhi Leonard, held him to 6 for 18 shooting, and he's given up size and strength on Kawhi Leonard. Just an overall impressive performance. You know, 6 for 13 for Josh Hart. He's going to get his buckets. You know, still not trusting that jump shot. He's got to recalibrate that three. You know, he just looks like he doesn't have confidence in it, but he still finds a way to impact the game. And Tom Thibodeau preaches that all the time. He's like, don't worry about your shooting. Go out there and do other things. The shooting will come. Josh Hart is the perfect example of how Tom Thibodeau wants his players to play.
All right, we talked about some of the struggles from downtown, only 9 of 34. The Knicks.
Struggle.
That's going to be
big struggle.
Got to do better than that without Brunson for sure.